Hi, I'm Scott Moeller, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build your own macro so that you can run your course reports with a single click of the button. You may recall that in the last video what we did is we built a set of 10 course reports for Seaside, and I'm going to click on this drop down list here and we'll go all the way to the bottom of this list and you can see those 10 reports right here. Now in this drop down list you can look at those reports one at a time. So if we click on the Seaside longest putt leaders and then click on view print individual reports, we get that report generated fairly quickly. It's a top 20 list in this case of the longest putt leaders at Seaside for the rounds that I've played and that are in my database. So we'll close this out. What we want to do though is we want to be able to run all of those reports at one time and create PDFs for them. And the way to do that is not really complicated, but like everything with a database, there's a particular way in which you have to go about doing that. So let's open up the screen that we're looking at here so it's a little bit easier for us to show you what you need to see. So I've pinned the ribbon here to the top. I'm going to click on these double arrows over here to open this up. And what we want to do is come all the way down to the bottom of this list of access objects. So your reports were up here. These are some macros. We'll come back to that in a little bit. But we want to be down here in the modules area. And we're going to double click on MBatch T99X Magnolia. And again, that X is really meant for alphabetizing purposes so that we can keep the things that we want to work on separate from things that we don't need to work on. Okay, so I'm going to double click on this object here to open it up. And you see a bunch of code. Now, don't be intimidated by this code. You've probably seen this before when you created your database or set up your database on your computer. And basically what this is telling you is, in this case, where these Magnolia reports need to be stored on your hard drive. Okay? And so in my case, what it's saying is that the report in the database named T99X Magnolia average stats per round will be stored as a PDF at this location on my hard drive. It's a pretty long list here because I've got lots and lots of folders and like to keep things organized in a very particular way. But you know, and you can do it whatever way that works best for you, but I've got it set up so where it's under C, User, Scott, Documents, APBA, Golf, Courses, Magnolia. And then if we scroll over a little bit, you can see that the name of that course, as it's going to appear on my hard drive as a PDF, is Magnolia Average Stats Per Round. And the rest of this is just some code that we don't really need to worry too much about in this video. Okay, and if you count these up, you'll see that there are 10 of these, one for each of the reports. And so what we're going to do, similar to what we did last time, is that we're going to copy this and then we're going to paste it into a separate module and make some edits within that module. All right, so let's start all the way up here at the top and we'll select the entire set of code there. We're going to right click to copy it. And then I'll click again so that it becomes unselected. And then over here on the left side, anywhere over here really, what you need to do is right click, and then come down to insert, and what you want to insert here is a module. So we're going to just click on that. And you'll notice that it creates this thing called Module 1. and we'll rename that in just a little bit, but we need to get it created first. Then over here on the right side of the screen, meaning not in this area here, we're going to right click under what it says option compare database, and we're just going to paste what we copied. And we can go ahead and get rid of that one at the top. I guess I could have copied a little bit less than what I did. Okay. And this is just a comment, and we know that because it's in green. I'm going to edit this for it to say Seaside. And I'm going to edit this one here. This is our function name, and we're going to change part of this to say Seaside. Being careful to leave these double parentheses here. And the stuff that says, reports T2, you don't need to really worry about doing anything with that. What we want to do, though, is to change these names or labels up here to match Seaside. And a quick way to do that, of course, is to come over to Edit and select Replace. And what we want to have is X Magnolia in the find what, and then replace with X Seaside. And of course, you would substitute the name of the course that you're putting in for what I've written in as X Seaside. So you might write X Birthplace, for example. And I'm going to click on Find Whole Word Only, and make sure that it defaults to current module, and you want to make sure that you don't do anything outside this module. Otherwise, you could really mess stuff up. Okay, and then we're going to replace all. Click on that. And so it made 10 changes for us. That's what we expected because we've got 10 report names. Click on OK, and you can see that these are the changes that were made. Now, what we also need to do is make changes over here. And you can actually probably do this in one step, but I'm a little leery anytime I use the replace all function here because it can end up messing things up if you're not really careful. So I tend to err on the side of caution. And so what I'm going to write in now is Magnolia at the top and edit that X out here because we're not going to need that because this is going to appear on our hard drive. And I'm going to hit replace all, and now we get 20 changes, which is what we were expecting. 10 for the folder name and 10 for the name of the report. And so I'll click on OK, and you can see that all the Magnolias over here were changed to Seaside. Now, it's quite possible that you don't have this folder or this directory address set up on your hard drive. And before you can run the macro that drives this, you're going to need to do that. So wherever you want these reports to appear, you need to create at least this much of it. This part. You've got to create the folder location. This part over here refers to the name of the report, but you're going to need to create this much first, wherever you want those folders to appear. If you don't, if it can't find this location, you're going to end up with an error message, or you're not going to get the reports that you're looking for. Okay, all right. So this is actually all that we need to do in order to create the module that we need. We just now need to save it. So we'll come over here and click on this disk. It's going to ask us what do we want to call that module name. And what I'm going to do is keep the module name similar to what I've already started here. So I'm going to call this mbatch T99 X Seaside. All right, and click on OK. All right, and then we can click on the X up here in the far upper right to close this out. And now what we need to do is to create the macro, and the macros are over here. But it's best to actually create this from scratch. So let's go over to Create, and we're going to come over here to Macro and click on that. And this is one of the simplest macros you'll ever create. All right, click on the drop-down list, come down here to Run Code, and then what we want to type in is M, and you'll get a drop-down list that automatically starts to appear. And as soon as you type in that M, you're going to see M batch export reports T99X Seaside. That's what we just created. That's the function. So we're going to highlight that. Well, and actually what you need to do, or what works best, is just double click this and it will bring it up, and then it'll put your first parentheses. We don't have any arguments in there, so we're going to put in the second parentheses, and then all we need to do is to save this, and we can save it by clicking over here to close it out. And it asks us if we want to save. Yes, we do. And now we need to name it. And we're going to follow the naming convention that we've got here under macros. And so I'm going to call this Mac Batch Export Reports T99X Seaside. All right, and click on OK. Now, before we go to the trouble of creating the button, let's just make sure that the macro works, and know that I've already created the folder for these Seaside reports to appear. I didn't show that in the video, but I did that ahead of time. So let me just go ahead and click on that macro so that we can run it. Let's open it up, and there you go. I just double clicked, and now all the Seaside reports are running. And those caption names that we put in before, that's what you're looking at up here, so that you know that you're getting the right reports to run. That's what we did in the last video. And these will be the ones that involve rankings, take a little while to do, but this will run fairly quickly. Remember that I had 264 rounds of data in here. Also note that when it creates these reports, it will write over any reports that exist that already have that same report name. So if for whatever reason you want to save reports that you've run before, make sure that you rename them in some way so that they don't get overwritten. You know, most people I don't think are going to want to do that. You're just going to have the most current version of whatever's going on in your database. But if you do want to save older versions of things, then make sure that you rename them before you run that macro. So we know that that macro works. I'm going to come down here and show you how they now look over on my hard drive, and I've got a bunch of courses that I've already created buttons for with my own database. Here's Seaside, and you can see here's the reports that we just created, and I'll click on that same putts per round rankings course that we showed individually. I think that was the one. Maybe it was longest putt. I can't really recall. Let's double click on that, and a PDF is going to come up, and that takes a little time for that to appear. And there we go. There's one of those reports, and then you can come down and, you know, add whatever ones you want, and they will open up as well. All right, and there's the scoring by hole report. There's the 256 round, and you can do that for all 10 reports if you want to look at them side by side. You can just click back and forth. All right, we'll get rid of this. It's going to ask me to close all tabs, which I'm going to do. Now we want to create this button over here. Okay, now the way we need to do that is we need to take this form main menu and look at it in design view. So we can right click here, and one of the options is design view. We'll select that, and basically all we're going to do is we're going to copy this button, position it where we want, and then edit it so that it shows us the Seaside reports. So I'm going to click on it, then right click, I'm going to copy, I'm going to right click again, I'm going to paste. We'll come over here to the far left, we'll drag it to the location where we want it, and that looks pretty good right there. Maybe move it up one box, okay, with the arrow key. And now we just need to edit this. The first thing we want to do is edit the name of this button and replace Magnolia with Seaside, okay, and then come over here to the property sheet and select Event tab, and instead of Magnolia we want to put in Seaside. So we'll get rid of that and type in Seaside. All right, and we're good to go. All right, now just to make sure everything's working correctly, we're going to come over to the heading here, Form Main Menu, right click and select Form View, and click on Run and Save All Seaside Reports, and there we go. All those reports are running at one time and being created on the hard drive at the location that we specified in the module. All right, now this is going to take a little bit of time to run. Don't want to make you have to sit through that. I want you to know, though, that if you have any problems setting this up with your Game Caddie record book, all you have to do is shoot me an email at smoller9@gmail.com. Happy to help you in whatever way that I can. Until next time, grip it and rip it.